Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cologne podcast.
I'm Myke.
And I'm Ryan.
We're two best friends. We've never had an argument. We love each other so much. And today we're smelling a Tom Ford fragrance.
We just had an argument before we got on here. We've had multiple spats this morning for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know why either.
Like
we left on such
the edge, dude.
Good note.
Yeah.
The only thing that I can think of yesterday that could have sent me into a spiral was the Dairy Queen situation.
If you've listened to the show, then you know that me and Myke have a real big heart when it comes to the dip cone at Dairy Queen, okay?
Right.
And we both have a specific way we get ours done now. And I've actually made mine really simple. I'm just like, hey, medium dip cone, doesn't have to be double dip. Just hook it up. I'm ready to get to the cone and enjoy it.
You used to get yours the way I still get mine.
Yeah.
You've come a long way.
Yeah, he's still stuck in the arc ages. He's over here, got to have the dip inside the cone, then put the ice cream in, then dip the cone, double dipped, and usually doesn't hear anything back, or hear any flack from it, But yesterday, we're coming back from Houston.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, we tried Trill Burgers. Holy fuck. If you're in Texas or you're going to be visiting Texas and you want to try the best goddamn smash burger, and we're not sponsored, by the way. Fuck, I wish we were.
Oh my God, Ryan. You think you really have to clarify that?
Well, I feel like...
Hey, guys, we're not sponsored by this restaurant we tried for the first time ever.
I don't know, man. You know how people are. But anyway, we tried that. I'm telling you guys, Trill Burger was ridiculous. This is the best goddamn burger I've ever had. But back to this. So we're coming back. Mm-hmm. We've been on the road for 2 hours. And we're like, hey, I was like, you feel like some dip cone? And Mike's like, say when. And of course, he pulls over and he does his little song and dance order. But
no, let me tell you how the order goes, especially if you're near a Dairy Queen, you want to try this. It's actually pretty good. Because anybody's had a drumstick. They know that last bite down at the bottom of the cone, there's a little bit of chocolate down there.
Oh, yeah. And
they probably do that so there's no ice cream leakage.
Yeah, smart engineering.
Yeah. For sure. That's what I'm just trying to live in the future here, Ryan. You just said I was in the arc ages. I'm living in 3023 over here. Here's how you order it. Can I get a small double dip cone? And do you mind putting just a little bit of that dip in the cone before you put the ice cream in?
Nope.
Most Dairy Queens will go, sure.
Yeah.
This one, they're like, sir, we can't do that. We are not physically able to do that.
He was fucking pissed.
I just said, oh, okay. Well, I'll just take the small dip cone then. Thank you.
The whole time you're in the drive-thru, because he was driving, he was on that side. He's like, the whole time the window's shut, he's just mouthing off like a little bratty kid. He's like, oh, you don't, what do you have, hamburgers? You get to add and take away things you want on there?
Exactly. Why is this such a complicated request when it's like somebody can go, yeah, let me get the number one, but instead of pickles, I want fried onion rings. And then instead of the lettuce, I want you guys to squeeze out bacon grease on the top of it. And then I want 2 patties, 3 pieces of cheese, mayonnaise on the top, mustard on the bottom, and ketchup on the bun. And they'll go, okay.
Yeah, but hell, when you said, hey, can you just put a little bit of the dip in the cone? No way, sir.
I know it.
Just like the pyramids, we don't know how to build it.
Exactly. This reminds me of a review I read on Fragrantica about today's fragrance from the Lake Show 22.
Okay.
Simple review here. It smells like tobacco oud with plum. It lasts about as long and has the same sillage.
Okay. We will see.
Yes, because this bad boy is gone forever.
Yeah, you can't get it anymore. It's discontinued, as you put it. I've looked it up, and we'll get into the price and trend later. I'm sure a lot of you guys are wanting to know if your pocketbooks are going to be a little emptier if you want this.
Yeah, and we have a special story as to why we're trying this, because we've had this sample that we got from myfragrancesamples.com.
Thank you, Mark.
We've had this for almost 2 years now. This decant.
I don't know why it's so funny, dude. It's like, god damn.
Yeah.
We're really fucking pushing it to the limits around here, dude.
Oh, you guys like to hear the new stuff. You want something new all the time. So you don't want to smell these discontinued fragrances.
Oh, God.
All right.
We literally have taken so long. This thing has probably blipped into existence and popped out
Yeah.
before we could even review it. Good God.
Well, let's pop on out to our one night stand review, Ryan.
Of Lamar Elixir.
Hit the music, Todd.
Yeah. One night stand review.
Well, Mike, after laying in bed with Jean Paul Gaultier's Lamar Elixir, woke up the next morning and took it off the nightstand. What do you think?
I remember saying, even at the end of the episode, I remember going, I think the one night stand review is going to be a little different because it started to get into something pretty juicy.
Yeah. And then
it got juicy.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember it getting juicy for me.
Really? Yeah. First of all, it lasts forever. And it got into a sort of, I don't know, spice bomb / cotton candy vibe.
Okay, I'm starting to remember now. It's been a minute since this one night stand. Okay.
I think in the UK they call cotton candy floss.
That sounds so whack.
I don't know. There's something interesting about it.
It looks like cotton swabs or whatever, dude.
Yeah, that makes sense too.
I wonder who came up with it first. Americans?
Surely.
Or the British?
Who else is going to come up with, let's pour sugar into this machine that's going to then fling it out, melted.
I got to know who invented cotton candy.
Yeah. It probably was invented for the World Fair at some point. Late 1800s, I bet.
Okay, if you get this right, dude, we're shutting this shit down and going to go play the lottery. Cotton candy. I'm just going to do like Wiki. Surely
that's correct.
Cotton candy, also known as fairy floss and candy floss, is a spun sugar confection that resembles cotton. It usually contains small amounts of flavoring or food coloring. It says how it's made. So in Saudi Arabia as girls yarn and Egypt as fairy floss. That's interesting. Several sources track the origin of cotton candy to a form of spun sugar found in Europe in the 19th century.
Wow.
Okay. Others suggest versions of spun sugar originated in Italy as early as the 15th century. Machine spun cotton candy was invented in 1897. Oh my God. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Nobody's ready for this. You are not ready for this.
I'm ready for it.
I promise to God you're not ready for this. Let me start from
for the Chicago World Fair?
I don't know. Machine spun cotton candy, ladies and gentlemen, was invented in 1897 by a dentist named William Morrison. What the hell? And confectioner John C. Wharton, and first introduced to a wide audience at the 1904 World's Fair as fairy floss.
Wow, fairy floss. See, this goes back to a conversation that Ryan and I had yesterday, which is people create negative situations to then create more consumers, and a dentist making pure sugar candy.
What the hell?
To then have plenty of cavities to take care of.
That is fucking wild. By the way, you never admitted I was right the other day.
I don't think you're right.
You're just admitting it right now with that.
No, I'm not saying that people don't do that. I know that is. You just came up with some convoluted conspiracy to go, they're doing this so that we have to do this. And I'm like, there's no way they created this specific problem to go, we'll make this problem up so people have to subscribe for this. But that's what happened. It would be way more work on the back end to then create a scenario that most people probably give zero fricks about.
Oh, my God.
I'm not denying that people do that. You're right. They do that. I was just saying in that specific scenario, it didn't seem that they would go all that way to create that rock in the shoe. There's plenty of other rock in the shoes that they can create.
It's just funny that the problem didn't exist until they bought the company, and then they changed the name of the company and then created an update that then caused the problem that hasn't been fixed for over a year.
No, because this is an off-air thing. Todd,
erase all of the shit.
it probably happened when they simplified ingesting RSS feeds, because now they went from 2 different streams to 1, because they used to receive the RSS feed from Anchor. So whoever was using Anchor, their RSS feed looked like that. Now they're getting rid of that funnel, which means that it's just further down the line.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But let's get back. World's Fair, dentist invented this thing, which seriously is kind of fucking ridiculous. So ridiculous.
I don't know. I don't know.
I've presented my case on it. Look, you can believe to whatever you want to believe on the other thing. I'm not trying to make a fight over it.
I couldn't care less. I'm just saying that's your knee-jerk reaction, is to go, oh, this thing is now difficult, and I can't, if I spend more than 15 minutes Googling it, now there's this, and I can't figure it out, there's this fucking huge conspiracy that this company created this problem specifically for the little man to fuck us.
What is the point of me getting into this? But whatever. I'll dance with the devil for a minute, okay? Because I hadn't just looked at it for just 15 minutes. That day I had, but I've been looking into this for a while now. But the other day I actually wrote an email. The difference was I wrote an email out to the company. You
scratched your head a couple of times.
No, that's incorrect.
You Googled maybe a couple of things and you were like, weird.
Incorrect. I'm telling you.
You're telling me you've labored hours over trying to figure out a solution.
We've had this issue with it since November of last year.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you've done anything about it. You can say, oh, I've got this fucking chip in my tooth. I've had this problem for 20 years. That doesn't mean you've done anything about it. You just...
Oh my God, dude. That researching is doing something about it. That's like finding out what the problem...
But you haven't been researching it.
Are you like with me 24/7? Know what I'm researching?
I am.
That's bullshit.
Dude, send me the receipts. Send me your search history. It just
clicked in my head yesterday as I have had multiple experiences trying to figure this out.
Ladies and gentlemen of the supposed jury, he's fucking lying to you.
No, I am not.
You have not been researching this.
I have too. I really have.
No.
I just haven't wrote an email out to freaking Buzzsprout. That was it.
I guarantee you have not Googled more than 3 lines looking for this up until yesterday.
Bullshit. I'm telling you. I have seriously been trying to figure this out for the longest time. Only difference is I never wrote Buzzsprout to go, hey, what's the deal with this? And then when they gave me the rebuttal, and then I went to Spotify for the answer, because they push it off on Spotify. And then when I went to them for the answer, or went to the website, and I started seeing that there's an issue here, I see what's going on.
I believe you. You're right.
And then you gave me the information that somebody is using Anchor, or it's now called Spotify for podcasters. And I'm thinking this other person uses it too. I'm starting to put 2 and 2 together. They have more of an option than we do. That's all.
You're right. I believe it.
Oh my God.
All right, let's get into this. What was your one night stand review, Ryan?
I do remember it getting better, but I don't remember it being like really memorable, if that makes sense. Like when you start talking about it, start jogging my memory, I remember it being kind of pleasant, but it wasn't something I was like, yeah, I got to go out and get it.
Yeah.
I didn't get that vibe at all. So
it's been a few days.
But I really think if you really liked it, you would remember.
I do remember it.
No, I mean...
You would have remembered.
Let me rephrase that. I think if you really liked it, you would have talked to me more about it.
I did like it, but I wasn't like, oh my God, I got to get a bottle of this. I was like, it's doing a nice thing. I can understand where people will like this.
Yeah.
Me personally, it didn't do anything to blow my skirt up.
That's what I kind of mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what I was trying to get into. So like, is it a sample it? Is it a buy or a skip for you knowing that? And just be real. If you think it's like kind of unimpressionable, what do you think that means?
I don't think it's unimpressionable.
Okay. I'm saying if you thought that.
I think it's a sample for people who, if you love JPG everything, anything, then I think that you probably need to try this to see. Because if there's something that you love in that line, maybe it has that thing. The one thing that we were bummed out about was it wasn't Le Mall. It was Ultra Mall vibes.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you love Le Mall, I think you'll be shocked if you think that this is tracing the line down of there's a Le Mall, then there should be a Le Mall EDP, and then a Le Mall Parfum, and then this is a Le Mall Elixir. But it's so far departed from the original Le Mall.
Yeah. Here's one thing I will say about it. There's been a couple times, because we went to Dillard's a week or 2 ago. there's been a couple of times I've been in Dillard's and there's something in the air I smell. And I think it's this. I think it is the Lamar elixir. I think it's louder than we think. I do think that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
For some reason. I just think now that I've kind of thought about it a little bit, like I really do think it's louder than we think. I do have to say I haven't thought about it since we smelled it. So for me, I just think it's like a skip. It probably is more of a sample.
I think it is, man. Not every person is like us to where we're moving on to the next fragrance the next day.
Yeah,
and
true.
It's like this train's left the station. Did you do something for me while I was on shore leave?
Yeah.
Well, then, if not, then I'm not going to remember you.
What is that supposed to mean? What are they doing on shore leave?
I don't know. I was trying to throw like a Navy illustration in because of the Lamal and, you know, all that stuff. So.
I do think because we do sample so much, when something really does impress us, we do obsess of it. Proof is straight to heaven.
Yeah, for sure.
You're the one that got a sample of that, and I like got one little smelling of it from you.
Well, because you would smell it when I would wear it.
Yeah, and I was like, fuck. And then I started just immediately obsessing with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm like, man, sometimes...
I think that's the sign of a great fragrance.
I do too, for sure.
That's really where it should be. I mean, especially if you're going to drop that kind of money, there should be some sort of huge drive to grab it, other than the fact it's like, I think I like this. I think I could wear this. I want that bottle.
And you know what I mentioned it the other day. We were driving back from Houston, and I've literally been thinking about it all fucking night and day, and I've been thinking about it now, is Jack Fat's Vetiver Gris.
Yeah.
That...
For the price?
Why did we never pull the trigger on that?
I was going to. I think I just looked at my bank account and thought I probably need the $200 more than Mr. Fat does.
Guys, we did an episode on that. For real, that was a genuinely badass fragrance. I've just now started re-obsessing over it.
It was one of the main fragrances. I came back from Italy going like, I can't wait for Ryan to smell this, and I've got a sample of it.
You did. Yeah, you sampled it there first.
And I kept telling you, like, man, I've got a vetiver fragrance. I called you. Go back and listen to the episode if you haven't already. This is an amazing vetiver fragrance.
It really is. It has this really badass burn I love. Anyway, let's get on with this goddamn show. It's a sample. Lamar Elixir is a sample. I'll agree.
Okay. But for real on the Jack Fat thing, I need to ask about this. This is important too, okay? This is the podcast is about us and our journey with fragrances. Nobody's going to be pissed if we're sitting here talking about a previous fragrance.
Okay.
You really think you want to buy it?
The more I've been thinking about it. Then I mentioned it to you the other day. I was like, man, we really like that. And then I've been thinking about it all last night. And this morning I've been thinking about it. It doesn't mean I'm going to buy it, but I've definitely have had it on my mind. And if we still have any bit left in the sample, which I don't think we do.
I think we went crazy on it.
Dude, I want to try that again.
If you get to the point where you want to go in halvesies, let's have a real conversation about it because I am interested in that.
Let's talk about that.
And now let's get into our scent of the day, Ryan.
Yeah.
Plum Japonais by Tom Ford.
Hit it up. You go first this time. I'm tired of always going first.
What?
Yeah, I always go first.
Okay, here we go. I don't think we've sprayed this before. I could just tell in the way I had to prime the atomizer.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first off, I'm kind of shocked this is discontinued. We're off the rip.
Pretty nice, right?
Very nice. I love this. I really do. I love this.
I didn't think this was going to be so masculine.
Very masculine.
There are multiple attributes to a plum, by the way. Let's just talk about it, because I grew up having plum trees.
Yeah, I didn't, so tell me what's the difference.
I've eaten plums every way you can think about it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I've had them when they're, like, not even ripe. I've had them overripe, fresh off the tree, in jams and jellies, which are incredible.
Okay.
Anything you can think of. You can actually make a stew out of these, cobbler.
You can make a stew out of plum?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
The thing that I love about plums is you can have this tartness that balances if you eat it at the right time.
Okay.
It's kind of like a banana. It's like if you get it right after it was green, but before it's like freckled.
Yeah.
It has there's a sharpness to it, not like a sourness, but like a pleasant bitterness that goes along with the sweetness.
Okay.
I love that about a plum. I don't like a plum that's so ripe that it's all sweet.
Okay. I don't think I've ever had it the way you're talking about. So, I mean, like the dark purple plum I see in like a store is where it's like all the way sweet, right?
About as sweet as it could get.
Okay. That's the only version of a plum I've had.
Yeah. Well, you can pick them off when their texture is completely different. It's basically like not ripe yet.
Yeah.
But it has my mouth is starting to water, by the way. I'm just thinking about it, dude. I'm like,
you're legit the only person I've ever met. We'll be talking about things, or I'll be talking about food, or hell, sometimes not even food sometimes, and he's just like, oh, goddamn, my fucking mouth is watering. It's like, fuck, dude.
I get excited. Oh, boy.
I think you did this last time over cookies.
Oh, my God. That's a whole different story. We won't get in. We're already pushing this bad boy past Mach 1. But just thinking back to my childhood, first of all, plums played a big part.
Yeah.
One of the most traumatic experiences in my childhood was I was running through the yard and I stepped on a plum that had a bee in it. And I don't think I'm allergic to bees. I mean, you've seen me get stung.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, because I stepped on it and it stung the bottom of my foot, I couldn't walk for like 4 days.
Damn.
My foot was huge. And so painful, dude. It was wild. And then from that point forward, I did not run in the yard the same way ever again. Dude.
Damn. I'm guessing you were running barefooted?
Yeah.
Damn.
Like, you know, these country kids running around. But yeah, stepping on that plum, dude.
So when you smell this, though, what version of a plum does it kind of remind you of?
I don't pick up a fruity plum.
Okay.
So this would be something I would feel like that is baked in some way because it's very spicy. This fragrance is
very spicy,
but the darkness of it leans to it's almost like a sweet, boozy sort of. I feel like that is what the plum is attributing to the fragrance.
I love it. The cardstock smells incredible.
Yeah.
God damn. It's like sweet, yet dark, yet is it like pepper in a way?
Yeah.
It's got some type of spice going on.
For sure.
It
almost has a twinge of sourness to it.
Yeah, exactly. For sure. But it's like, I kind of like this little weird twinge it's doing.
For sure.
This is oddly, like I said, is very masculine, but it's like upscale as fuck, man.
Yeah. So this was a private blend, I think is what they call the Tom Fords that are in that
weird bottle with
they have the flat top. It looks like the big decanter things.
It smells fucking good. I wonder why it was discontinued.
Sometimes we'll never know. I think in this case they're probably just looking at sales.
Well, speaking of sales, you guys want this bad boy? 50 ml, go to Scent Split. They sell it for about $1,000. Go on eBay, you can get it for about $450, from a private seller.
If that feels too expensive, we may have a Cologne alternative for you to check out.
Yeah, do you want to tell them that story now?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so starts off, Mike calls somebody an asshole.
We can start there.
Of all things. And they proved that they're not an asshole. In fact, maybe it's Mike that's the asshole.
I remember in the episode, I said, you're probably right.
It was actually about, I can say all these details?
Yeah.
Okay, it was actually about Dan, the fragrance weirdo, who also is the main guy who runs over at Leota Runs, who's another fragrance podcast.
Right.
And he runs Soma Parfums.
Yeah. Okay, so here's what happened.
Okay.
We talk with Dan. Dan is going to send us Soma Parfums.
Yeah. But
there's a mix-up in the labels. And so the box that goes out is actually some Alexandria fragrances. There's a 30 mil, a travel atomizer, and a sample in there. And we've ordered from, not the UK, but we've ordered from Alexandria Fragrances before to try some of their clones. They've got some really nice ones.
Yeah.
So the box comes in and Dan said, hey, you guys just keep that and enjoy that. We'll get the Soma Parfums out to you. And so we open it up and we're just kind of smelling, and there's one called Forbidden Plum.
Yes.
And Ryan and I spray it, and both are like, wow, this is really, really good.
Really fucking good.
Yeah, we get really hyped on it. So then I know that Alexandria, is inspired by certain fragrances. So I'm like, God, what is this fragrance inspired by? Because now I got to smell that. And I looked it up, and here we are. And I was like, oh my God, I remember ordering that because they announced that, hey, this is probably going to get discontinued. And I went to myfragrancesamples.com and ordered the decant of it because I was like, if we're going to get our hands on it, we better do it now.
So we got it. By the way, do we want to do that as a bonus episode for Patrons? Or you want?
Yeah, that's great. Let's do that.
So yeah, if you're a Patreon, and here in just a second, we're going to touch on something through Patreon.
Yeah.
But if you're a Patreon, we're going to do an episode on this Alexandria fragrance because...
And we're going to give it away.
What?
We'll give it away to a Patreon.
Can we pull a little bit out of it?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel better now.
Why not?
Because it's seriously, I think it's going to shock some people.
It's like that good. You're like, oh shit.
I really am, actually. I'd almost want to just pull it on the air and just smell it now, but let's just let this be its episode.
Yeah, for sure.
But okay, so back at the story at hand here. This is trending a little bit down now, but for the longest time, this has been trending up. It's been freaking the best trend you've ever seen. Mm-hmm. Prices now are high. It's trending low. 1 ml sample is about $17. 2 mls is $32. And a 5 ml is $80, dude. So if you want to test out 5 mil of this, you got to pay a designer retail price. I guess you could do 1 ml, but man, have we ever had good experience with 1 ml?
I don't think there's enough in a 1 ml to really get a good wearing out of it.
3 or 5?
Yes.
You think 3 though could?
3 will give you one good wearing, I think.
Yeah. But
because
here's you need a couple of wearings though?
I do.
Okay. So 5 then. 5's that one.
Yes. When we first started the podcast, we're trying all different sizes of decants, and we've landed on the 5 mil.
Yeah.
As being the perfect size to really get a few good wearings
between the both of
us to really come up with a solid understanding of the fragrance.
I agree with that.
I know it sounds like this is just a lighthearted podcast, but there's a ton of science going on in the background. I mean,
there's Myke. He's got his freaking
Harvard level science going on back here.
He's got his freaking beakers and shit, dude.
I did go to Harvard.
Oh, yeah? How was that?
One time.
Yeah, you visited?
Visited, yeah. When I lived in Boston.
Yeah, we have a good friend of the podcast who's...
That's right.
That works for Harvard.
Shout out.
I'm always shocked because I feel like, how does an idiot like me know somebody that's from Harvard? It's weird.
Well, like I said, Ryan, I went to Harvard. Once.
So sample it if you want. It's expensive. It's a skip for me just because I can't spend that kind of money for even a sample.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But if it was available, I would say it's easily a sample to a buy.
There are going to be purists that listen to this podcast, and they're going to say a cologne is not a worthy substitute for the original.
Yeah. Not
specifically with this fragrance. I think in general, you're just going to feel that way. And I'm like, well, then drop that money, honey. Because...
Yeah. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if that's the case. But for me, dude, $500 for a fragrance? For one single fragrance?
It's expensive.
It's the thing that's stopping me right now from getting the Parfum version of Creation E.
Yeah, or Elysium.
Or, yeah.
Yeah, we have... I mean, me personally, I've pined over Elysium Parfum for so fucking long, dude. Even finding a discount, I'm like, I can't do it.
That's a lot of freaking frog skins, dog.
Hey, really and truly, as much as I'm not like a big or about like fragrance collecting, to you people out there that can afford these bottles, but to get these Big Daddy real ones, dude, I'm just like, my hat's off to you. Yeah.
Hey, life is a highway. You're going to drive it all night long either way. But, for me, I probably spend money elsewhere.
Yeah.
That, on my body right now, there's probably a good, I don't know, $19,000 worth of tattoos. But guess what? They'll never be discontinued till the day I die.
I feel like I have more tattoos than you, and mine are probably I don't know, $2,500 worth. But there's definitely a grade difference here. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm not going to judge you for your fragrance selection, Ryan, but the fragrances that I've applied to my body they're like discontinued Tom Fords. They're highly coveted and expensive.
Oh, good Lord. Okay, so before we get out of this, so we're both, it's a skip, I guess, right now. Skip to sample.
If you feel like dropping that much on a 3 mil, if you're just dying to smell this,
like $40.
Maybe we should give the rest of our decant out on Patreon.
Fuck. How much do you think's even left?
There's about 2 mil.
Yeah, fuck it.
Let's do it, man.
Oh my God.
Let's live lives of generosity and abandon.
If you can hear me, I'm like my shoulders, I'm breathing with my shoulders lifted. I'm getting anxiety.
Yeah. So if you're a Patreon, you're probably going to be getting 20 mil of the Alexandria version and a good 2 mil of the original Tom Ford.
For sure. Okay. With that being said, since we're talking about the Patreon, we want to get serious for just a minute, if that's okay.
Yeah.
But serious in a good way, because we were sent a message by a friend of the podcast, Patreon supporter. Their name is Doug. And Doug wrote a really badass message to us.
Yeah.
How we didn't leave him hanging too long, but then we were like, you know what? Can we please respond to this on our podcast? And he was like, yeah, sure. We said, we'll just tell you to say your first name. But anyway, I'm going to read this email. Doug was the winner of our last giveaway, the Rouse Club Parfum.
Yeah.
He was excited, though. Everybody gets excited. Hey, thanks so much, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, hey, yeah, no problem. Here's the tracking information. He got his fragrance. Mm-hmm. We were sent this badass message, and it reads, thanks so much, guys. You guys really have no idea how much this meant to me. Don't take my man card away, but I honestly cried when I opened it. It really has nothing to do with what was inside, but more about the generosity given through it. Most of the time, me and my wife are the ones being generous. We give of ourselves a lot of the time. It's always our pleasure and joy to do so, but sometimes the well just starts to run dry. I got this when my well was dry. Thanks for helping to start filling it up again. We have what most would consider a crazy life. Maybe insane, but it's one that we have chosen to do. Me and my wife have adopted 5 kids, and number 6 hopefully soon. 4 of the 6 have special needs, ranging from cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and autism. I got into fragrances because it was a way to indulge myself into something in the early morning hours when I was listening to the podcast or late evenings. It's a hobby that I can actually have time for. Most of my day is taking care of our kids. I never thought I would be changing a diaper and showering a 17-year-old, but that's the path I've been equipped to do and have chosen. I would never change this life for anything. Again, I want to reiterate that this is what I was born to do. Me and my wife are both givers at heart, and sometimes it's a blessing. When something happens just like winning a drawing on a podcast, it really did come at a rough time for me. Sorry for rambling, but I just wanted to let you guys know how thankful I am. And sometimes you have no idea who is on the receiving end of something. I think all things happen for a reason, and I'm so glad I happened across this strange podcast about colognes right when I was just getting into the hobby about 6 months ago. Thanks so much, Doug. I sprayed it up.
Doug, first of all, I feel like you are very similar to Ryan and myself. Well, first of all, you're way more...
Very more.
Giving and altruistic compared to us. What I mean is that Ryan and I enjoy fun times and making light of stuff and fighting about dumb stuff. But we are big, sensitive guys at the same time. We care very deeply about a lot of things. And so we seem so lighthearted. I don't know, but I'm assuming we seem so lighthearted on the podcast. And that's because this is our outlet and we have fun. But when it comes to people, and especially our families, we care so much. And even people on this podcast, we've cared. When we first started, there were a few guys that really jumped in line and became listeners quickly and showed their support. And then one of the guys dipped out for a while because he was having a lot of family issues and stuff like that. And Ryan and I still think about that guy and still talk about that guy. And over time, would occasionally reach out and just check in on him and see how he's doing, because it's like, you guys mean as much to us as I hope we mean to you. When we get to know you, and this is a big part of the Patreon stuff too, is that we really did want to open up a space to where the people who really love the podcast want to get to know us better. There's an avenue so that we can get closer to you guys as well, because we really do care about you guys. And hearing that, by the way, everyone listening, we didn't know this beforehand.
Yeah.
This was just serendipitous that he was selected in the drawing to win this thing. But it just goes to show me that deep down, there is this sort of certain things happen for a reason, even with a goofy ass podcast about fragrances. And we hope so. We hope that when we make these episodes, we're bringing a little bit more joy to your day. So circling it back around, we're not stealing anybody's man card for crying. Ryan and I have cried together many a times because as lighthearted and as fun as we try to be, we also care. Like I said, we just care really deeply, and hearing something like that means more to us than you know.
Absolutely. I'll try to touch a little bit. I think you said that all perfectly, but we wear this podcast all fucking day.
Right.
For better or worse. And I cannot explain it. It's like when we've had very little fans, or we have more now, but it's like when we've had breaks in the past, we got constant messages, encouraging support.
Right.
Stuff that I would never think would be possible. So in the same regards, I'm guessing this felt great to you, Doug. I'm glad it did.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we provide something for you, because that's genuinely what we love to do. We're very, I don't want to say this is customer service oriented.
Right.
I don't want to make it corporate-y, but we are really focused on wanting to provide great stuff for people, because we know the world fucking sucks.
Yeah.
We know death is inevitable. I'm maybe getting too deep, but it's just it's been a great release, at least for me, just because, losing my mother, I know you lost your grandmother. This is something that is uniquely ours, and I get to really pour into it and have fun with it. And there are times when it gets serious like this.
Yeah.
But I'm so appreciative of all the love we get in return all the time. It's so crazy to me. So
yeah, we have felt this guilt when we are not able to do this thing.
100%.
And it's we know it's a free thing. We know that there are quite a large number of you guys that probably listen. We're in the background,
yeah,
jacking our gums about whatever, something dumb. It's not that big of a deal, but we do know that there are few people that listen, and this is a place for respite. Mm-hmm. They come here and they're going through a lot, and we get those emails.
Yeah.
And we love everybody. But when we miss an episode or we have a hard time getting content out because the day job gets in the way, we think about you guys that have wrote in, that have said, here's what life is like. And please don't stop doing this fun, lighthearted thing, because you don't know how much it means to me. That's what we think about when we think about the podcast. In a way, we're trying to open up our friendship to you guys, because we know that sometimes as a guy, you get looked down on if you want to have strong relationships with other men.
Yeah.
If you want to have strong friendships, or if you need somebody to go to break down a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to downplay anybody else's struggles, but just as a guy, I know that at times life is really hard. Mm-hmm. And our friendships and our relationships are usually the first to go when life gets in the way and we have to take care of things. And so a lot of times the first thing we give up on is ourselves, and we're trying to help everybody else. I think that's built in. If you're a good man, you're built that way.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You just are. So we're trying to open this up and let this be that. So there are plenty of people who will come into this podcast and go, you guys aren't serious enough about fragrances, and you guys don't treat the perfumers this way, and you don't treat the art this way. And it's the fragrances are just a vehicle for us to open up and create community with guys like Doug and all of these other friends that we've built along the way. Because for whatever reason, we struck a chord with you, and just letting you guys know you struck a chord with us as well.
For sure. Again, want to say thank you to Doug. Thank you for putting a lot of personal stuff into a message, letting us know, one, how pleased you were with receiving something, but two, just kind of give us a little eye into your life. I know that's not easy to be open, so
right.
Thank you so much. And I don't even want to, I don't even want to know if I want to ride out with some corny ass music.
No, I think this is just a good spot to end it. And just know, guys, I think it's probably daunting and a little, I don't want to say scary, but to do what Doug did and share that, a lot of people could think that, especially with Ryan and I, as goofy as we are, these guys don't care about that. Or like, it's easy just to say in general, people don't care about what I'm going through.
Yeah.
But the reality of the situation is we actually really do care.
For sure. When this came in, I immediately called Myke. I was like, I got to reach you this message.
Yeah.
And read it to him. Of course, Mike's jaws on the floor. He's like, man, that's really good. That feels good. It inspired us.
Yeah.
Stuff like this inspires us to go, we're on the right path of doing something for other people.
Yeah.
I know that seems silly, but it's what we feel like we can offer to the world is a little relief, a little comedy sometimes.
Right.
That's what we feel like we can offer
with this podcast.
So, but yeah, so thank you again, Doug, for sending that. And
I hope that encourages more of you guys as well.
For sure.
Just know that we do care.
We love you guys. Until next time, spray it up, y'all.